think you make a very good point about the government's record over the last 13 years. And actually, I think what was really laid bare in the autumn statement yesterday is just how much damage has been done by the Conservatives to the economy over the last 13 years. And the fact that there is really nothing they can do to compensate for all the damage that has been caused. You know, we had the projections about the economy, about inflation, about taxation coming out alongside the autumn statement yesterday. It's supposed to be a statement for growth, yet growth was downgraded for each of the next 3 years. Next year, the forecast rate of growth has been cut by more than half. And at the same time, you've got inflation revised upward in every year of the forecast, and you've got the tax burden still set to be the highest since the Second World War. So I think overall, it looks like a really grim picture for the UK economy. It looks really clear what damage the government have done over the last 13 years. And that's why we were setting forward our alternative, our plan to get the economy growing and to make people across Britain better off.
I take on board what you're saying. I mean, one might mitigate, I'm not here to defend the government, but one might mitigate saying, look, we've had the aftermath of the financial crisis, we had COVID, we've had wars in Europe as well. There's some mitigating factors, plus the economic transition to a lower carbon economy. But I don't want to go on that. I just kind of want more look at, in terms of, do you agree with the key two policies? A, cutting national insurance by a couple of percent for 27 million people, 28 million people, and B, the making permanent those tax breaks for investment for investors in this country, for companies. You do agree with those two policies, though, don't you?
Well, look, very briefly on your point before that, I would point out that the UK has been hit far worse than other countries by various shocks that we've experienced in recent years, and the government need to take responsibility for that. You know, we are being hit far worse by energy price rises, by unemployment, and by inflation. So there's a really difficult situation the UK is in. But to come to your specific points around those two tax changes, look, we know already that the tax burden in this country is its highest for 70 years. Rachel Reeves, the Shadow Chancellor, has been saying for some time that taxes should be lower on working people. We would like taxes to be lower on working people, but obviously we would never promise any tax cuts at all without making sure they're fully costed and fully funded. So the fact the government has come forward with a national insurance cut, is something that we will support. But we pointed out that this comes after 25 tax rises in this Parliament alone. Just 2 years ago, the government ministers were voting to increase national insurance, and the tax burden is still going to be £4,300 greater per household as a result of the Conservatives. So after 25 tax increases in this Parliament alone, to have this tax cut now really feels like far too little, far too late. And in terms of the business tax situation, the making full expensing permanent, again, that's something that we've been calling for because we want to increase business investment in the UK economy. We know that investment has not been anywhere near where it should be by businesses in the UK economy, and we believe government should be supporting businesses to get that investment happening. But although this individual policy is one we've been calling for, if you zoom out and have a look at the broader picture about, where is the modern industrial strategy that our country needs? Where is the long-term stability that we need? Where is the reform to the planning system and our infrastructure? That was not on the table. They did not have a plan for all of the other components that businesses need to get investment up and to have confidence to invest. So, although individual measures are ones that we would not oppose and that we've called for ourselves, take a step back, and the damage over the last 13 years and the lack of plan to make things better is very clear.